things Mets. They're bringing you all things Mets. Now you're listening to Chase Station.
Today is Thursday, July 31st, or as many of you might know it otherwise, the MLB trade deadline. It's a big day in Mets land because they set the tone yesterday with a pair of big trades for big-time relievers. I'm one of your co-hosts of Chase Station, Jack A.K.A. Jolly. Joining me on this very, very special day is Jerry Blevins. Jerry, how you doing?
I'm lovely, thank you. It is a special day. This is a fun one.
Oh, yeah.
Deadlines, MLB is full of procrastinators. They just wait until there's an absolute deadline, and then they cram, study, and ace a test or fail a test. And the Mets so far acing that test.
The MLB trade deadline is just the college student experience of pushing it off until the last possible moment and then locking in for 24 hours. But David Stearns has done a lot so far. I mean, the Mets have arguably made the most noise. The NL East pissing contest of acquiring relievers has been really fun. It feels like every time the Phillies do something, the Mets are going to do something as well. Also, the Mets got swept by the Padres. We're not going to spend too much time on the series. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about the games at the end here. But the big focus is obviously going to be on the Mets' activity at the trade deadline. It's gotten me pretty excited about the prospects of the back end of this bullpen, because into the fold comes two very proven relievers in the San Francisco Giants Under Armour, Tyler Rogers, as well as flame-throwing closer of the St. Louis Cardinals, Ryan Helsley. We're going to break down what these two guys are all about, what the Mets gave away, because it's a lot of names you might know in these prospect deals, and what else we can look forward to today, because there's still about 10 hours remaining until the trade deadline actually hits at 6 p.m. tonight. So a lot to discuss, a lot of players to discuss. Is there anyone you want to start with specifically? Do you want to go in chronological? What do you want to tackle?
I think we do it by, just the relievers as a whole, I think is important.
Yes.
As you know, it's a tier-based system and a lot of interchanging parts, but I mean, for me, the back end is where we talked about it last time we were together. They needed one big arm, another, the eighth inning lockdown consistent guy. And I said they needed another guy in that tier to be able to push. And they got both of those. So for me, it's, if you're going tier base, you got Diaz is still locking down the saves. He's still the guy. Then right below that is Ryan Helsley. Helsley will be the eighth inning guy. And now you have 8-9. Now you only have to get to 7 innings, which is beautiful. And then you bring in a guy like Tyler Rogers. Tyler Rogers, the submarine pitcher, the Mr. Durable, funky, different kind of look that you get from a hitting standpoint. It's difficult. The guy throws a ton of strikes. He throws in an unorthodox manner, and he is so consistent. Again, the best friend for a manager is a consistent bullpen arm that you can rely on. He doesn't have the same stuff as Ryan Helsley, who's also consistent, but he's going to get weak contact, ground balls. He can face lefties and righties, which is kind of surprising from that kind of arm angle. But the guy's been one of the most consistent pitchers in all of baseball for the last 5 years, and he's having an excellent year this year. So it goes Diaz, Helsley, and then in that next tier for me, you put Rogers in there, you put Reed Garrett, who's still very good in my eye, and you've got Soto there, the lefty there. I think he's in that tier because you're going to need that like righty lefty. But I still like Brooks Raley. He's looked really good since coming back. So Soto, Raley can be interchangeable, and then in that same kind of whoever mixes into that third spot on the next tier, I think Stanek is still, when he's hot, he's as good as Helsley. He's as good as Diaz when he's hot, but he's too, up and down. So he's in that tier below. And then that only leaves you room for a guy like Rico Garcia, who's been excellent, who can give you multiple innings, who can still swing, throw swing and miss pitches. or a Brandon Waddell if he comes back from his hip impingement. They just need a gap guy, a mop-up duty, a longer reliever guy, because most of these guys are one inning max guys.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
that's my tiers, and they're great. We started out this season with, AJ Minter, these guys that were that level, and then injuries prevailed, and they've refilled those holes with better arms with the acquisition of Helsley and the reliability of Rogers.
the bullpen looks so different from not even just opening day, but like a month ago. Like the guys we had going out there every day, which were still quality arms. That we were definitely tapping into the depth of this team. But you just mentioned Rico Garcia is the guy holding on for dear life now on your bullpen tier list. He's up to 9 2/3 innings, no earned runs, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts on the year. Like that's the guy that can barely crack this bullpen now. We just got to witness what is probably the best bullpen in baseball right now in the Padres, with Adrian Morejon and Jason Adam and Robert Suarez and their back four there. I think the Mets have a back four that competes with any team in baseball now, because you mentioned, Reed Garrett is now your 6th inning guy, your fireman in the middle innings. That's really nice. I like Reed in the 8th inning too. He's gotten us some big outs this year. I still think about that 6-out save in the Subway Series, but having, if you think about a playoff game, having the ability to deploy Ryan Stanek and Reed Garrett in the 4th or 5th inning if you're in serious trouble and need a big out and a fresh arm, to still have weapons at the back end that you don't need to worry about using those guys there. It's a premium luxury for this Mets bullpen. This Mets bullpen that can now attack you in so many different ways. Like Tyler Rogers is a mid-80s sinker baller who scrapes his knuckles on the dirt every time he throws a pitch. And Ryan Helsley is going to throw 101 miles per hour right at you at the top of the zone with cut as well. It's just the over-the-top action of Helsley, the underarm action of Rogers, and then the sidearm action of Edwin Diaz. That's a tunneling nightmare for any team facing their last 9 outs of a game trailing. Like the Mets have such a luxury now, like an embarrassment of riches in their bullpen. And it's really exciting to think about the fact that you have the guy who had the most saves in baseball last year with 49 is going to be setting up games for Edwin Diaz. And, there's also a facet of, if you're in the 8th inning and you've already used maybe your left-handed reliever and you have, Harper coming up, Schwarber coming up, you can use Diaz there. You can use Diaz in that spot, because now you have Ryan Helsley, who's a proven closer that can get you at the 9th inning. So there's so much maneuvering that Carlos Mendoza can do now. He has so much more freedom to use this bullpen. He doesn't need to use Diaz on back-to-back days if they're in a pinch. The Mets are insanely rich in their bullpen, and that is a really good feeling as a fan.
I think, as you were talking through it, I think Reed Garrett slides back into that 5-out kind of guy.
Sure.
I think he can fill in the gap there, stretch him out a little bit. He's very capable of doing that, and he's done excellent in that role. Again, that flexibility that they're going to have back there, pretty impressive. They definitely re-established themselves. The beginning of the season, they were so dominant as a relief corps, and we've seen those pieces fall away with Nunez and Danny Young and AJ Minter going down. We've seen them kind of fade away. Bratzaban had an amazing start. Max Kranick went down. We've seen things kind of get away from them, and again, I believed in David Stearns before. This shows me that he's willing, when the team shows that they're that good, to do some things that you need to do. We'll talk prospects at some point. You'll dive deeper. That's not my area of expertise.
Sure.
I know some of the names are high on that list, but what the team has now, this 2025 Mets team, their bullpen is elite.
Yeah, some of the names you dropped there really took me back to the first 2 months of the season where we had the best bullpen in baseball. Max Kranick was pumping 6 outs every other day. Nunez had that brief week where it kind of looked like he was going to be back. Minter, I think, was the second most trusted guy in the pen besides Diaz. And then in the blink of an eye, baseball happens. You get hurt.
Bratzaban was also
I forgot about him.
unbelievable.
He was getting big-time saves. We were multiple save opportunities for Huascar Bratzaban, who's now optioned to the minor leagues. Things change quick, but it's the adaptability and it's the aggression that has me really excited as a fan. It's one thing for the Mets, take a look at their deadline last year. Like, they made 3 trades and they made the team better. They brought in Stanek, they brought in Phil Maton, and they brought in Jesse Winker. Like, they addressed needs and they made the team marginally improved while not, I think, going all the way in, because I guess they weren't sure if this hot streak was for real, how good was this team going to be. And last year's Mets proved that they are a World Series contending core. This year feels like, okay, the window's open. Like Stearns has said as much as the next 2 years are one of our best opportunities to win a World Series. And I think that's partly the youth of the core, having Alonso here. Soto is in his prime, Lindor in his prime. Also, in 2 years, there might be a lockout. Like there's no certainty of the future for the Mets. Why not push in your chips now and contend for a World Series when you know there's baseball to be played and you know you're one of the best teams in the National League? So I know a lot of people are panicking about everything that went out, because 6 total players is a lot for 2 rental relievers. I'm not going to say that I'm not going to acknowledge the fact that it's not. At the same time, let's paint the picture of what exactly the Mets brought in beyond the name. So now I want to start with Tyler Rogers. He was the first player acquired. And in terms of pure stats and resume, Rogers is the more impressive acquisition technically. The stuff is not nearly as flashy. You're not going to be getting hitters blown away, but what Tyler Rogers provides for you is an incredibly uncomfortable at-bat for an opposing hitter, obviously because of the arm angle. But besides that, the fact that guys can't seem to square him up ever. He has the highest soft contact rate in baseball right now, 27.4%. He has the second highest ground ball rate in baseball of pitchers with at least 50 innings. And how about this? This is something I know you'll like because you're a reliever, Jerry. The second lowest whip in baseball of pitchers with at least 50 innings at 0.86. The only pitcher who has a lower whip is the insanely talented freak known as Tarek Skubal on the Detroit Tigers. So it's a guy that induces tons of soft contact on the ground for our infield defense, which I like as well. And overall, like you said before, a guy that can get righties and lefties out. And by the way, he pitches every other day. He's up to 53 games on the year, which is the most of any MLB pitcher this season. And that's been his forte for the past 5 years. In fact, him and Gregory Soto, they both rank on the list of most appearances since 2020. Rogers is number 1 with 375. Soto's number 5 with 335. These are durable, reliable guys that Mendoza can call on. Like you said, whenever he's in a pinch, he knows that he has these guys to rely on. And Rogers, if nothing else, you can, if you're not into the nitty gritty of all this, that's fine. You can look at that ERA of 1.8 and say, I like that. You can look at that whip of 0.8 and say, I got a lot of confidence in this guy.
That's you nailed it. One of my favorite things about Tyler Rogers coming over is he's got, you said the most innings of any reliever?
Most appearances.
Most appearances. He's got 50 innings already this year. He's got 4 walks.
Wow. Is that real?
4 walks. That helps the whip. The last 2 years.
Holy shit.
Including all of 2024, he had a sub 1 walk per 9 innings. Like, the guy can pump strikes. He's not afraid of contact because he knows when he executes, he gets weak contact. That's what they were missing. The wildness of Stanek and Reed Garrett at times, of Bratzoban, the Danny Young walking guys like that. That's, if these guys play to the back of their baseball cards, this is what you're going to get. And I expect them to do that. These are veterans of many major league seasons. The Giants have been competitive before. Tyler Rogers plays in a very competitive division out there. He's 34 years old. The guy's been around the block. You're not going to phase him. It's a huge acquisition. The guy is special, and he's going to be fun to watch. I like some quirkiness to the team. You don't get all the boringness. He brings some funk to it, and I'm excited to watch him don the Mets uniform.
He's just a classic reliever. He's just a
you don't see him
arm.
anymore
You don't
like
see pitchers like Tyler Rogers. I'm really excited to watch him. One last thing I want to mention on him, because you brought up his walk per 9 rate, which is 0.7 this year, that's absurd. Last year, his walk per 9 rate was lower than his home run per 9 rate, which I think he might be the only pitcher I've ever seen with a line that looks like that. He had 6 walks in 70 innings and 7 home runs. So he keeps the ball in the ballpark and he throws strikes, which is real. I mean, this Mets pitching staff it seems like they're always going to have an issue throwing strikes because it's always stuff over command when it comes to building this roster. This is a guy that's command over stuff, and that's really, really nice to have when you need a ground ball double play and you know you can get a ground ball from a guy like Tyler Rogers. A guy who's going to be on the other side of that coin, stuff over command at times, is Ryan Helsley, who has had some ups and downs this year. Early in the year was getting tagged with the home run ball a lot, but recently he has been very, very good. And last year, he finished 9th in Cy Young voting. Like a reliever coming up with 49 saves, finishing top 10 in Cy Young voting is incredibly impressive. He's on a recent heater as well, going back to June 19th. 11 innings, 1 earned run, 2 walks, and 11 strikeouts, a 0.82 ERA in that window. He's incredibly tough to hit, throws absolute gas, which is something that the Mets continue to stockpile in this bullpen between Stanek, who can throw 100, Reed at 98, Diaz at 102. Now you have Helsley at 100. That's really cool. He's been doing it against some impressive NL opponents this year because the NL Central has been really good. He's had to face the Cubs and Brewers a lot, and a guy with a pretty decent postseason track record. This one was really exciting to me because this came right after the Phillies acquired Yohan Duran, and that was like, okay, they upstaged us, I guess. You know, you got a year and a half of control. This guy's one of the best closers in the game. Now you bring in Ryan Helsley to one-up the Phillies right back and get the closer who had the most saves in baseball last year. I love it, man. I think this is really exciting for this Mets bullpen. The maneuvering of closers that you can now do, I think, is probably the best part of this for me. The fact that you can deploy Diaz whenever now and still have Helsley at the back end is really cool.
It is really cool. And he's kind of having a little bit of a downish year for him. He's had some ups and downs in a sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm not sure what it is. I didn't expect the Mets to go out and acquire Helsley because I thought the price tag would be higher than it was. Again, not a prospect guy, but it's a big get. The guy can pump 102. He sits 99.3 as his average.
It's crazy.
That's pretty special. And he's got that four-seamer at the top of the zone, that special kind of ride. And then he throws a pretty decent little slider off of that. And he'll mix in a curveball on occasion. The guy's got tremendous stuff. And the Mets pitching, conglomerate has known to be able to get the best out of guys. So I think they have a few keys for Ryan Helsley to lock him back in or to bring him to another level. Tyler Rogers, I imagine you're going to let do his thing because
so.
that's, it's hard to teach. It's hard to, unless you do that, the savant page for Tyler Rogers doesn't show exactly what he's doing. But for Helsley, you can pitch shape, you can dial him in, and I expect them to do that. And he'll be under less pressure to perform in a sense out of that 9th inning. He can go out and take a deep breath, understanding that the Mets offense can do things, and he's got Diaz holding it down behind him. 2 huge arms, in a whirlwind of a day. It just the team is so much better now.
I mean, like, they've lost a handful of games the past 6 weeks because of bad bullpen. Like, they lost a game in this Padres series because Huascar Brazoban couldn't throw strike. Was getting hit around. By the way, in the middle of this podcast, the Cleveland Guardians fire sale is underway. They just traded Paul Sewald right before we started.
Did he come back to the Mets? He's well loved here.
Yeah, right. He's well regarded. And then they traded Bieber right before we started recording. So maybe the Mets get someone there too.
That would be fun.
Speaking of these two in combination, this is the stat I pulled yesterday, which people seem to like a lot, so I'll regurgitate it here. Ryan Helsley and Tyler Rogers combined this year against what I consider to be the top 4 NL teams in the Cubs, Dodgers, Phillies, and Padres, obviously non-Mets teams. Combined, these guys are 19 1/3 innings, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 16 strikeouts against 4 teams that the Mets will likely face if they make it to October play. I don't know if that factored into any decision-making whatsoever or if it's just a nice, neat little result, but it makes me feel really good as a fan to know that these guys are getting the opposing teams out in games that may not matter as much, but they're proving that they can do it in the regular season. And,
how dare you? How dare you leave out the Brewers, by the way?
I know. Well, the Brewers messed up the stat line just a little bit, okay? Come on, Jerry. It's all about
like
butter
that
knifing.
butter knife those stats,
exactly. The Brewers weren't as sexy of a name. I felt like I could get away with it. Some people call me out.
I'm gonna let you off the hook.
Brewers are really good. So it's just a dream, man. I mean, Helsley's got the seventh highest strikeout rate since 2022. He's ahead of names like Glass now and Crochet and Shohei Ohtani. Like, this is the caliber of pitcher that the Mets are bringing in, even if it's just for 2 months, because these guys are rentals. I still think to be a Mets fan and not be really excited, I feel like you're doing a disservice to yourself. To be worried about what they gave away, you're doing a disservice to yourself. The franchise is taking necessary risks to try and compete for a championship, which we have. I haven't felt this way about moves at the deadline in a long time, and they still haven't traded away like their top guys. Like we talked about Jonah Tong last pod, Nolan McLean, like guys that are making serious leaps forward in this organization's affiliates. Guys that, David Stearns, they're his guys. Like, Jet Williams, that's a David Stearns guy. Carson Bench, who got called up to Double A, might get called up to Triple A now with all these new trades. Those guys are still here. Those guys are part of this future. But the Mets did give away a good deal to get these two relievers, which I think we should dive into now. With the Tyler Rogers trade, I don't know about you. My initial reaction was definitely like, whoa, because it was 3 names I recognized, which I think is the entire overarching theme of all this. Go ahead, what were you going to say?
I think you nailed it with that. The 3 names that you recognize that have been talked about as prospects for a while, that was the move for me for a rental, for not a closer.
Oh yeah.
I went whoa as well. So those were the 3 recognizable names that have been on the top 10 prospects list, that kind of thing. Yeah, it was a big group.
For those who are unaware, the group is the number 9 prospect in the Mets system, outfielder Drew Gilbert, who was basically the part of the Justin Verlander trade 2 years ago. In addition to that, it was number 10 overall, Blade Tidwell, who we've seen this year. We've seen flashes of really good pitching from Blade Tidwell. We've sung his praises on this show. He goes in the deal. And then, honestly, the biggest shock to me was Major League reliever Jose Butto, who last year bailed the Mets out with some really big starts early in the season, became a part of a really good bullpen later in the season, didn't have the greatest playoff run, but also has been a very good Met for a year and a half, and he goes in this deal as well. So the initial reaction for me was absolute shock because we got Tyler Rogers first, so it was initial real excitement because a guy who's just been the same pitcher for the past 5 years, and that same pitcher has been good. And then the names started to trickle in. At first, it was funny, the sequence of it was Robert Murray had the prospects first and not the third player. So I read the prospects and I go, damn, that's a lot. Okay. This third player is probably just a throw-in. And then we get the third player from Joel Sherman and it's Jose Butto. And then I'm watching the game and I'm seeing him say goodbye to people. So it was a huge whirlwind of emotions. I want to let you first talk about Butto before we get into any of the prospects because I know you know a lot about him. We've been close to him for a year and a half now. We've watched him develop into a really good MLB pitcher. He's been with this organization since he was 18 years old. It's all he's ever known. So that one definitely tugged at the heartstrings for me.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I wrote that down. The scene with Butto during the broadcast of him sitting down in the bullpen with Rosie, the bullpen coach. Oh, man, I felt that.
Yeah.
I felt that. That's a mix of emotions. You're going through a lot. You're sad and then you're angry. This team doesn't want me. They want to win a championship without me. And then you're like, this team they traded for me, traded someone really good, and I'm going to get a good opportunity. Then you have to say your goodbyes. It's a tough one. Plus, he's on the road, so all his stuff is out back in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really like Jose Butto. I still like him as a starting pitcher. And he's a fly ball guy, and he's going to San Francisco. Like, doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah.
So I think that their scouting department did a good job. Drew Gilbert's a name that I'm familiar with. He's an outfielder. He bats left-handed, and he's 5'9". This isn't somebody like a Nick Kurtz that you're like, this guy's got pop. He's gonna get 50 home runs against you. I don't know Drew Gilbert's ceiling, but I know what Jose Butto is.
Yeah.
And I think he's a very high quality, legit. He's gonna have a very good career. And I think his ceiling is highest outside of the Mets. So I'm happy for him in the long run. But boy, that scene got to me. he's only known this since he was 18 years old. That is I mean, I got traded from the Cubs and I was there. I got signed in '04 and I was in Double A when I got traded in '07. That's only 4 years. And it was hard for me. I didn't know what to do. Luckily for him, he was able to establish himself. He's got pieces around himself that he can lean on in that situation. But as a person, I'm excited for Jose Butto's opportunity, and I will be rooting for him very, very loudly.
Yeah, and I mean, conversely, it's weirder to think about it with a veteran, but Tyler Rogers has been with the Giants since 2013. He's been in the same organization for 12 years. That's all he's ever known. Like that is the human aspect of the trade deadline that rarely gets analyzed. And MLB has a more theatric deadline than I think any other sport, where there's just constant moves and stuff like this happens year in and year out. So for Butto, I mean, for one, the whirlwind is, I think, magnified for him because guess who the Mets host at Citi Field in their next series? It's the San Francisco Giants. So he's going to go fly to New York, maybe with the team. I don't know. Like maybe him and Rogers switch planes or something, but they're going to be in pretty close proximity. And then, the Mets might see Butto as like his first outing against with a new team. It's pretty crazy, but considering the Giants starting pitching situation, they have 4 starters right now. One of them is a guy who's never thrown a pitch. I like the opportunity for Butto, and I like the opportunity for Blade Tidwell, who they said the Giants front office that they still view as a potential starting pitcher. So I'm hoping he gets this opportunity there because we've seen, at times 3 really good innings of Blade Tidwell pitching, and he wasn't able to get over that hump. But I still believe that there's something good there for them because he also goes in this deal.
Agreed.
For Tidwell, with him, I think it really just came down to, and what you'll probably see more of today, was that was not a David Stearns prospect. And I think that those guys, unfortunately, are a lot more expendable than the guys that Stearns has drafted and traded for and signed. I think that's just the abject truth of it. I'm a little worried.
It is every time, and it drives. That doesn't drive me wild. It's a real thing where, if a new GM comes into town and the draft picks that were not he's a lot easier to let go because he can say it was the last regime, whatever the case may be, whether it's the fact that they have more trust in the guys that were drafted under him because of knowing the scouts better and being able to look at it from start to finish. But it's a real thing to move on from guys that you didn't draft.
It's like almost a built-in excuse for any new GM of like, I don't know, he's not my guy. Send him away.
Yeah, it's weird.
And I definitely trust Stearns' judgment, especially considering his track record and all that. But Tidwell, honestly, of the 3 is the one that, I don't want to say worries me because I'm excited about Tyler Rogers, but he is the one I view as like, this guy could have a future. I think more so as a reliever, but still, he's got nasty stuff. He's got the velo. As for Drew Gilbert, so I think I said this yesterday on my social media, but I do think it's a very real thing that Mets fans have insane trade PTSD, and that PTSD is absolutely earned because Pete Crow Armstrong has a chance to win NL MVP this year. Like that is a very real thing.
What you're saying is they have PCA PTSD.
That's why we pay him the big bucks, folks. For witty lines like that one, tip your cap. You gotta tip your cap at the end of the day. He drowned in tomatoes on stage.
Yeah, I have PTSD for the Pete Crow Armstrong. That guy is he's everything you want out of a baseball player.
Yes.
He really is. He's fun, energetic. He's weird. You don't get weird at a position players often, but in a good way, and he's unbelievable defensively. He's fast as hell, and he's got, what does he have, 30 home runs already? No, he's
27, close.
He ended the first half with 25 bombs, something nobody could have foreseen, I don't think. These are the things that you give up. This is the possibility. The Mets made a run. They traded for Javi Baez. They got the best baseball Javi Baez has ever played, including his All-Star appearance this year.
Yes.
He was dialed in for those couple of months in a Mets uniform. But I get it, man. PTSD. Like Pete Crow Armstrong, watching him possibly win an MVP in another uniform, that's tough. I thought the same thing when they traded for Edwin Diaz and Robinson Cano.
And
I
you gave away
thought,
Kelenic, yeah.
yeah, I thought Kelenic might be a guy, and he looked like he was right at the beginning. And even Justin Dunn was a big time prospect.
Yeah.
You just never know. That's why that's why for me, Jose Butto is the piece leaving, because I've been a part of that kind of deal. He's made it in the big leagues. He's had a great run. I think his ceiling, again, I've said it every time, I would have loved to see them stretch him out.
Yeah.
Because depth, whether it's in AAA, I know he's at his worst, he is who he is in the bullpen. But I think at his best, he's a solid fourth, fifth starter. I truly think so, and I think San Francisco will give him the runway to develop into that. Maybe not this season, maybe going into the off season for next season.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up both the prospect aspect of it and roster space, because I think that is a perfect combination of discussion for why Drew Gilbert was in this deal. For one, for those who don't know, Jarred Kelenic spent the entire season at AAA this year. He just got called back up because the Braves are selling off pieces. And then conversely, Pete Crow Armstrong leads the league in WAR, leads the league in doubles. So there are very much two sides of the coin there. And I think the initial reaction of the Drew Gilbert trade here was of that, oh my God, he's a left-handed hitting center fielder who's a little bit of smaller stature at AAA, and the Mets just traded him for a rental. It's the same thing. A lot of those things line up. I fully understand
Agreed.
that. The biggest thing I want to hammer home is that Pete Crow Armstrong currently is 23 years old, and in a month, Drew Gilbert is going to be 25 years old. When Pete Crow Armstrong made his debut, he was 21 years old. So you're talking about two completely different tracks.
How old was he when they traded him?
He was 20.
So,
yeah.
I mean,
it is he was 19 actually. It's a completely different world considering timeline.
Here's what happens when you covet your prospects.
Yeah.
You end up like the Rockies. They never trade their guys because they're our guys, or the Pirates, man.
Yeah.
Like you got to make moves both ways. You got to understand when you can trade and when you should trade for. It's a risk, but you've got to do those things,
And it is funny to think that like all the Rockies' best players right now are homegrown, but it's because, they've never made those moves before when they were in contention windows.
Even more so when they weren't. They never traded their guys when they should have sold. Even the rental players.
They never traded Trevor Story when he was a rental. They didn't trade.
Even the year before that. Like
Yeah.
you can't be sedentary.
Yeah. Well, I like that.
And frozen. I was thinking, who did the Mets trade away for Yoenis Cespedes?
They traded away Michael Fulmer, who did win Rookie of the Year right after. But that's a good trade.
It was a great trade, and he looked like he was going to be, a contender for the Cy Young.
That's what trades are supposed to be, too. They're supposed to be good for both sides.
Correct. Fulmer didn't end up having the longevity of a career as a starter, and he converted to reliever, dealt with injuries, dealt with what's the term? Dealt with inconsistency on performance. But that run with Cespedes, I mean, worth it.
Yes.
Regardless, if Michael Fulmer was a Cy Young candidate for the next 5 years, it was worth it for me because of what you got. That was a special run. You got to be willing to make moves, man.
Yeah. And I think that the initial reaction of, okay, we just traded the guy who was the centerpiece of the Justin Verlander trade for a rental was a tougher pill to swallow. The abject truth about Drew Gilbert is that I think that the organization viewed him as the center fielder of the future, and it's not looking like he's going to be a major league center fielder, which is fine. I mean, when you consider what he's going to be for the Giants, so you're looking at a guy that can probably hit 20 home runs in a season, hit for power, hit to the gaps, and play a good corner outfield. The problem is that the Mets have two corner outfielders that aren't going anywhere for the next 6 years. So when you're looking at the outlook of Drew Gilbert with the New York Mets, it was going to always be center field or nothing. And that's, in my mind, what made him kind of expendable in this deal. Once you kind of zoomed in, the zoom out is scary because at the base of it, Drew Gilbert's going to be a major league player, and I think he's going to be a quality one. Like, I was pretty excited to see him get a look this year. I just think he was supposed to get a look last year, and then the development never really came along. He had really tough numbers at AAA. Only now is he starting to get his feet under him at AAA. But again, 24 years old, like, the Mets can't wait around. They need to make moves now to ensure that this window of the next year and the year after that is wide open for them to compete for a World Series every year. And these are the kind of moves you have to make. So in just roundabout fashion, I do view this prospect package less severely than the Ryan Helsley package, because, you know, the Giants are going to see these guys. Probably all three of them are going to play in the last 2 months of the season for the Giants, but I think the ceilings are just a lot lower. And I really like Tyler Rogers, and that's a guy that you can count on, that has been there, has done that against good NL teams, and has done so in the playoffs as well. And I think that's a worthy price to pay. The Ryan Helsley package was all prospects. It was no major league talent. It was guys lower on the rung. The biggest one they gave away was an infielder by the name of Jesus Baez, who is at High A Brooklyn right now and has made really great strides this year with his batted ball data. The biggest thing for him, and a thing I didn't mention with Drew Gilbert as well, Jesus Baez is coming off a torn meniscus in his left knee, and Drew Gilbert has been dealing with soft tissue and lower leg issues for 3 years now. I'm not saying that if a prospect gets injured, you should trade him, but I do think durability factors into a lot of these decision-making processes. With Baez, I am scared that one day in 3 years he's going to come up for the Cardinals and be really, really good, but that's in 3 years. Like, it just comes down to, what do you want out of this era of Mets baseball? What do you want out of this regime? Do you want them to prospect hug and build for the future, or do you want the future to be now? And do you want to compete now with Lindor and Soto and Alonso, all these guys like going in their prime? I just think that the Mets fans that are not allowing themselves to celebrate these things because they're worried are doing themselves a disservice, because
I agree.
They're going to make more moves today. More prospects are going to go, but as long as it's not the guys in that top five, I really don't care. Like, let's go win a World Series, man. Let's do it.
I agree. And for me, this is what a healthy organization looks like.
Yeah.
You develop players, raise their value, and then you either use that value and use it in the major leagues, or you use it to trade and bring in major league talent and develop more. That's what a healthy organization does. That's what Steve Cohen promised when he came in.
Yes.
That's what David Stearns and their group are developing, and it's a beautiful thing. It's a never-ending resource. You're a farmer grow. That's why they call it the farm system. You're
right.
the farmer growing a crop. You know, it's not the most pretty picture to call a baseball player
a human being a crop.
A crop. You know, I would be a string bean probably. That's what I was called as a youth.
Just a long corn cob.
But that's what you get them for. Every once in a while, you're going to, plant a seed. It's going to grow, and you're going to give it to, trade it for something from a farmer, and he's going to grow a beanstalk.
You're going to send it to a farmer in Chicago, probably.
Yeah, there you go. And it's just going to happen on occasion. But you're developing talent that other teams covet and are willing to give talent as well. It's just the way the business is. There's limited amount of baseball players that can play in the big leagues, and so guys that have that talent are worth something. Yep. And some guys view them differently. It's a crazy and wild ride to be being a piece of being viewed as as something that's movable and interchangeable and parts of a system. It's wild to be a part of, but it's a beautiful game when it comes together, because there's no definitive things.
Yes.
There's no right answer for anything. There's a million different pieces that have to come together to develop a future. But what I do know is the Mets made their major league team better by a significant margin by going and getting Tyler Rogers and going and getting Ryan Helsley. So I think that right now I am very happy. And then in 10 years, if those guys are doing great things in different uniforms, I still think it was worth it.
If Jesus Baez is a 2028 All-Star and Drew Gilbert has a 20-homer season, none of you are going to care if the Mets win the World Series in 2025. And that is just the risk that you have to take as a guy in the front office. Those are the, I mean, here, I want to paint a picture of what you were talking about with development and how far this organization has come. The third guy in the Helsley deal is a guy named Frank Ellisalt, who I've never heard of before. Did not know he existed in the Mets system. So I looked into it. He's a 19th round draft pick from the 2024 draft. If you look at that round of the draft, you're not going to recognize any of the names there. Apparently, this year in high A, he has a 3.04 ERA in 56 innings. He has a 10.4 strikeout per nine rate, and he throws 98. And I don't think he did those things when the Mets drafted him. I think they rose him up and nurtured him as the crop that you were mentioning.
I can imagine a guy that had that kind of stuff wouldn't go in the 19th round.
That's what I'm saying. And I was like, I was looking at clips and I was like, how is this guy a 19th rounder? Like that round of the draft almost shouldn't exist anymore. And the Mets were able
How dare you.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I
know that
missed
hits
the
home. My
50
bad.
rounds.
Yeah. What round were you? Like
17.
17. No, we need the 17th round. Come on. That's valuable.
Yeah.
The point being, the Mets made something out of, I don't want to say nothing, but something out of something
They
that
made
would be
something
perceived
that
as low value.
they saw a guy, they evaluated talent, and they saw a way that they can make him better and develop him better, and they did that. Coaches, strength staff, scouts, all are doing their job at a very, very high level, and that is a healthy organization. That is a perennial contender, and that's what they want to be.
All right, Jerry, I got 2 questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Are the New York Mets going to make another trade?
Okay, that's the first question.
What's the first one?
If I don't think so.
Whoa. That's not what I thought you were going to say.
I know you do.
I do.
And I'll say my reasons why.
Okay.
Who are they going to get rid of for a rental center fielder?
Off the bench?
Somebody
It
off
might
the
be
bench?
someone who's a part of this team.
Yeah, and it's going to be a young guy.
Yep.
I've liked what I've seen from Beatty. I've liked what I've seen from Mauricio. I liked what I'm seeing from Mark Vientos. Like we saw it last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think the guy is a very special player. And you're going to have to give up one of those for a Luis Robert. And I don't know if he's going to be better. That he's the question mark.
Yeah.
You know, if you bring in Cedric Mullins, he's got good power from the left side, plays a decent outfield as far as I know. But I don't think he makes the overall team that much better to be willing to do what we talked about, get rid of a prospect for guaranteed to make your team better. I'm not sure there's anybody out there that I see the Mets trading for now that makes a run. If a name is a better name than what I see, then they're working even more magic than I'm capable of seeing, which is very possible, I guess. I'm not the end all be all. I'm not the Wizard of Oz here, seeing all, but I don't see him making another significant move to the big leagues, and that's why.
Okay.
How about you?
Well, I want to ask you this. So, okay, let's say that they do go get a center fielder, whoever it might be, Mullins, Bader, Robert, whatever. Acuna does have an option, so they have a way to maneuver it so they can create a roster spot. And in that case, your bench is some combination of Luis Torrens, Beatty or Mauricio, who's ever sitting that day, or McNeil, who's ever sitting that day. That's your reserve infielder. Starling Marte, and Tyrone Taylor. Do you think that there's enough spots to go around for everyone to get playing time in that case, with Acuna out of the picture and those 4 guys sharing spots?
Yeah, because I don't think Mullins is a platoon guy, so you're gonna have room for Tyrone Taylor. Marte is the DH off the bench, or like DH or pinch hitter, whichever role he seems to be able to pinch hit, which is an incredible skill to have.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the amazing things that Nimmo did as a young big leaguer that blew me away. It's hard to do. To learn how to do it at a later point in your career is very impressive. I think there is enough space to move around, and if a guy gets hot, you ride the hot hand.
Exactly.
and you swallow your ego as the other guy, and you root for your team. This is the beauty of the Mets with Carlos Mendoza and everything. I'm not going to name everybody because it's the Mets right now, the organization. These guys pull for the organization. They pull for their teammates to win. I haven't seen any selfishness
Yeah.
out of anybody. And with Marte swallowing his ego in spring training and taking a huge step back in playing time, granted his paychecks make him feel a lot better
I think
about
so.
that. But the bottom line is his pay is based off of how good of a major league player he was.
Yeah.
That's hard to let go, and he let it go. They're just pushing in the same direction, all viewing a championship. And so if a guy gets hot and you're struggling, you go in and you work on it, but you're not rooting for him to do bad. That's not the only reason you get to play. Mendoza does a tremendous job of finding guys little opportunities, even when there's little cracks in the armor. He finds guys in the bullpen chances to pitch, even when they've been inconsistent. He is an incredible manager to be able to do all those things at the same time, surrounded by good coaches. But I don't. They'll find playing time for everyone. And if you're effective at your job, you're going to be in that lineup on a consistent basis.
I love what you said there, because I do think, like, with a loaded bench like that, it should never be viewed as a problem. Even if these guys are starting caliber players, like, that's just major league depth. Like, that's what you want. You want every guy to be a starting option. You mentioned Mullins as a platoon option. What I think is really funny is that both him and Tyrone Taylor are reverse platoon guys. So Taylor's better against righties and Mullins is better against lefties. I don't know if they do that, but I think that would be really funny.
That would be hilarious.
I do think the Mets have one more move in them, kind of because of the philosophy of what I was talking about before, the risky nature. Go ahead.
Do you think the move is Luis Robert?
I think
Or
the move
has a good
might be a
chance?
starting pitcher.
Okay, starting pitcher makes sense to me.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
I think, and this
I was
kind of, we're not
thinking-
going to do the Padres series, but every time I'm watching Clay Holmes go out there, it is looking like the dude is out of gas. And
But yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I was thinking offensively. Here's a reason why I don't think they go after a Luis Robert just before.
sure, yeah, go ahead.
It's because you have to play him
Yeah,
every day, and that creates no spots for those guys to be active, and they like to shuffle those guys in, keep them involved. If you trade for a guy like Luis Robert, he's going because his ceiling is so high. He's
Yeah.
a freak of an athlete. We've seen some of his success. It hasn't been there. And so if you believe in that guy, you got to give him the runway.
and also
then he's
that you got to figure out if you're going to pick up that option,
that $20 million option.
which could be worth it. Like if you discuss other outfielders that are worth that money, but you have to play him. I see what you're
And
saying.
he has to be better than he's been for 2 years.
Yep.
So that's why I don't see, unless they're, an eye for talent. I wouldn't put it past them to see it and be like, all right, we can make this guy back to his, and even maybe more so than who he was.
Yeah.
That would be an incredible get. But you're 100% correct. And the Mets do have a need for a starting pitcher. If they don't make a move, I think you'll see some of that high-end talent that they kept get an appearance.
Yeah.
The Brandon Sproats more often, maybe even into Jonah Tong from Double A.
Those guys are all going to go up a level. There's spots
McLean.
open now.
That's true. And so I can see them doing that, but I would not be surprised if they go after somebody to just be reliable and get 6 innings every once in a while. That's not named
Yeah.
David Peterson.
I mean, as of this recording, there's only been 2 starting pitchers dealt. One of them is Shane Bieber, who hasn't pitched this year, and one of them is Chris Paddock, who is like the number 4 guy in the Twins, which makes me think prices are insanely high, and the Mets are balking at those prices because the prices were already high for relievers. So there is a world where no deal gets done for a starting pitcher. If they do go out and get Luis Robert, and they do have to play him every day, I just want to, and I know Mets fans are very divided on this, which makes for really good conversation. He is the only center fielder I'd want. I don't really think I want Mullins because of what you said. He's a platoon guy. Even if you need to maneuver the lineup, I want a guy that's with the higher ceiling there. Since June 24th, which I guess you can mark up to be the start of trade rumors happening every day, in 63 plate appearances, he's hitting .345 with an OPS over 1,000, 4 homers, 5 stolen bases, 7 walks to 10 strikeouts. He's playing his best ball of the year.
How many games is that, though?
17 games. It's not a big sample.
Yeah, that's 17 games in 5 weeks. That's because he's been hurt, which he's also very prone to do. Sorry, I'm very
You're anti, and I get it. We don't disagree often, so I think it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And I do think, the White Sox have the Padres in on this. They have the Phillies in on this pretty heavily, which is another aspect of it. Of if the Mets don't go out and do it, the Phillies might. And, sometimes the best move you can make is no move at all. I'm there too. But these are the things you have to consider of like, okay, we've already done a lot of risk management with these past two moves that we made yesterday. How much deeper do we go into it? I think that overall makes me think that some other move is coming, whether it's for a starting pitcher or a center fielder. Starting pitching, again, it's a lot of rentals. It's your Merrill Kellys, your Zach Gallens, your Adrian Hausers, Tyler Anderson, Charlie Morton. All these guys are going to be 2 months, then they're going to be out the door. If they make a big move for a starting pitcher, which is going to cost a lot, it might cost, someone who's on that fringe top 5 prospects list. I'm hoping it's for a guy with control. I'm hoping it's for someone like Sandy Alcantara, who I know has not had a great year, but I just have a tough time believing that he's just not a good pitcher anymore because he still throws incredibly hard and his stuff is all still there. And I don't think it's a product of, he's not trying with the Marlins team. That's, 3 games out of a playoff spot or something like that, 5 games, something like that. I just think a change of scenery might do him wonders. And I think that the Mets have already taken on a lot of rentals. And if they're going to make another big move, I think it is going to be someone with control attached, like Luis Robert with his $20 million option and like Sandy Alcantara with his multi-year contract. That's my take.
I think Sandy Alcantara would be an amazing get.
I'd also love Mitch Keller, but the Pirates aren't trading him. So
correct. I think Sandy's going to be a Cy Young candidate next year.
Yeah.
Like I think it takes a while. He's been late. He's been off for so long. A guy that is a contact guy. He's never been a strikeout guy, despite 101 with Sink.
Right.
It's a feel thing, and it's not easy. You can't just get up off the couch and do what you did 2 years ago. You gotta get back into it, and I imagine he'll get to that and figure it out. Hopefully, if the Mets trade for him, hopefully it's soon. It's just a feel thing, man. A lot of guys struggle when they first come back from Tommy John with inconsistency.
Yeah.
The good news is he looks healthy as hell. Like he looks great. He's going deep into games. He's throwing the velocities, maintaining deep into games. He looks healthy, and that's the biggest question mark for me. It's not his performance because I think that can be dialed in. But is he healthy? Does he feel good? That's the only question for Sandy.
Yeah.
The problem is, what would the Mets have to give up interdivision to get a guy like Sandy to the Marlins? And you would have to watch this guy blossom on another team.
That is the scary part of it all. And like with Sandy, you mentioned the innings. He's gotten an out in the 6th inning in over half of his starts this year. That, if nothing else, should be a huge alluring prospect of acquiring Sandy Alcantara because we've struggled so much with just getting guys into the 6th inning. And like, I know that you added to the bullpen, but you can't wrung those guys dry too because you're going to need them in October. That should be the goal. Sandy's contract, $17 million next year, and then $20 million team option a year after that. So you're talking about 2.5 years of control for a guy that's won a Cy Young before. Again, you look at his numbers right now; they're not pretty. One of the lowest wins above replacement, one of the highest ERAs. But I think if you've watched him dominate the Mets before, which he always does when he pitches against the Mets, you understand the potential there. As per what the Mets would have to give up, I don't know, but it's going to be scary. If I get a notification that the Mets are acquiring Sandy Alcantara, I'm going to brace and hope that it's not the worst thing, but it's going to be something because it's an incredibly valuable contract, even if Sandy's having this really tough year, because I think everyone who knows what they know realizes that exactly what you said. He's coming back from a serious injury. He missed all of 2024. This is not who he actually is. I think you would be unwise to bet against Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah, I agree. Just for scenario.
Yeah.
The Mets trade Mark Vientos straight up for Sandy Alcantara. How do you feel about it?
I think the Marlins would do pretty poorly there. I'll say that.
Wow, you'd be comfortable with that.
Well, the scary aspect, in my opinion, is trading Mark Vientos for a rental. Because he has all those years of control. He's a very similar discussion to Buto, though, with many years of control and no options. Because if those players ever become purely detrimental to a team, they are DFA candidates. Like, you have to consider that when you're constructing your roster. Vientos, past month, I think I put it on our sheet here, has been really good. Let's see, where is it? He since July 10th, 52 plate appearances, 333 average, 6 extra base hits. Like, he's starting to get back into the swing of things. But, what's the Pete Alonso outlook? Can Mark Vientos even play first base? You have 2 very capable third basemen on the roster right now. These are things you have to weigh in when you're considering, okay, can we make our team a lot better in a different area when we don't necessarily need a third baseman or another right-handed DH when we also have Starling Marte? I don't want to see Mark go, but it also depends on what you get in return. And when it comes to someone like Sandy, who has those 2 years of control and can be the guy that can get you Cy Young votes and really good 7-inning starts day in or week in and week out, that's a move you definitely have to consider. And I think it would take more than Vientos. Vientos plus would be, I think, the return.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the Marlins, where they see their window of competition.
That's another important question. Yeah.
Yeah. How far out? Because they're a good ball club right now.
They're great. If Sandy was Sandy, they're a winning team for sure.
Yeah. I mean, their brand of baseball is pretty solid. It'd be interesting. That's an interesting one. But here's a name for you.
Sure.
And this is the part. It would be another Cardinal, and it would be a guy that they have, I believe, through next season.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Sonny Gray.
Yeah, I would love it. I mean, they are selling.
I know, but like, again, where's the Cardinal window? Do they expect to compete next year? I don't know. But they have 2 GMs at the moment, which is a real thing.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
What are they going to do? They have to flip a coin on if they just don't decide. But Sonny Gray's the perfect guy. He's older. Obviously, he's not in his prime anymore.
Yeah, but I love a vet. I love a gritty vet.
Yeah, he's salty as it comes. Former teammate of mine
Hell
in
yeah.
Oakland.
Oh
That's
my
how
God.
far back
Take
it
me
goes.
back, Jerry.
And Bartolo.
Hey, you want to talk Oakland? 2013 ALDS, Sonny Gray, 13 innings, 2 earned runs. He was nails. Nails.
Yeah. He also
Playoff
went up
guy.
against Prime Verlander.
Tough. It's brutal.
Knocked us out.
His
But I
contract,
like
for
a
those
guy
who are
like
wondering,
that for
30
the bullpen.
$35 million next year for him, $30 million team option, and $27.5 million buyout. So basically 35.
Oh, he's in 35. That's a hefty price tag.
They backloaded him. There was 10 mil the first year, 25 this year, 35. So they might be in the market to get off that. I don't know.
Absolutely, and they would probably have to swallow a little bit of that.
I think so.
But if you give a better prospect, they'll pay more down. I don't know. That's interesting.
I haven't seen a lot of people throw his name out there, and I think that's a lot more interesting. Yeah.
He struggled in a Yankees uniform. That is no doubt. New York is a different animal.
Yeah.
That'll be brought up a ton of times. He's in a different point in his life and a different point in his career. And the Mets are different than the Yankees. It is what it is. So I think he would be fine, more than fine. That's the kind of guy I want the Mets to get if they go out and get a starting pitcher. Somebody that, just like in the bullpen, somebody that they know is just going to give them a chance to win a ball game, not exhaust their bullpen every 5th day, that takes some pressure off of Peterson and Senga from having to be the guy, and just pushes them to be better because they're competitive, sons of bitches. Like, that's just what they want to do, push each other. And I know that is who Sonny Gray is, having played alongside of him.
Per Francis Romero 2 minutes ago, White Sox are seeking an MLB level player and 2 prospects for Luis Robert Jr. So
no, not for me.
Price tag is high. I think you got me on Sonny Gray. I think I'm like really. I just didn't think of him. Like, he just didn't pop into my brain at all.
He's not on anybody. I haven't heard his name one time.
Because I think people weren't sure if the Cardinals were selling, and then they sold their closer, and it's like, oh shit, it's on. And like, yeah, if you're selling they just traded Steven Matz to the Red Sox, and they got Blaze Jordan. I think they did really well there. I think they could do even better if they trade Sonny Gray. So you know what? If that happens today, I think you're the first on it. You get credit.
Sweet. Jeff Passan can give me credit.
Jerry Passan. There you go. All right. I don't think we're going to talk about the sweep. Good grand slam by Mark Vientos. Game 1 was really fun until it wasn't, and then they slept walk through the last 2. You got anything there?
I think that's close enough. Vientos, that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
He hit 2 balls, one that
should have 2 homers.
A cool robbery from one of the highlight players in the game and Tatis.
That'll happen.
But the second one he wasn't getting to.
No, sir. Yeah, I mean, that was a great at-bat by Vientos, too. Got it to 3-2, fought off some really good sliders. That was the wide zone night, too. And then found that fastball high and away.
Oh, my God. What that umpire.
Don't make me relive this.
Hold on. This is where I know you and Trevor Plouffe, at least Trevor Plouffe has this weird rivalry with you. It's one of my favorite.
Yeah, it's interesting. He's got one with everyone. Let's be real. Come on.
Yeah, it's but I think he said that the Twins are playing in LA when that same umpire was on first base.
Oh.
And I think and Mookie Betts had a huge check swing that was clearly a strike and he didn't see it. And then they walked him off. They would have won the game.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think it was Emil Garcia. Is that his last name?
Emil Son. I don't want to give him spotlight.
Rogers is stuck in my head. I wanted to say
no, that's
Emil
like a ball
Rogers.
player, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but also Tyler Rogers.
Yes. Bring it back home. Nice.
Yeah, but you know,
the hell's his name?
I just loved what I saw from Vientos. Just that flow of him making contact on that high ball and going the other way with it. And doing it, not just getting lucky and doing it once. He did it twice in that game. It's such a positive sign. That second one, lit a fire underneath me at 2 a.m.
Hell yeah. Ronnie had a big homer in that game too. Just the second homer allowed by Robert Suarez this year. Yeah. Mets didn't win that game, unfortunately. Gregory
They should have
Soto.
won that game.
Yeah, that kind of set the tone for the whole series. That was a really, really tough one. It ended the winning streak. Brasaban got optioned after, and then I think there was just kind of a cloud over the team. No excuses. I mean,
Soto didn't have a great debut.
The Stars didn't have a good series at all. I mean, they were all disappeared. Even Nimmo, who's been really good, didn't show up this series. Soto got hit in the leg. He had to come out.
Let's just hope his foot's all right.
He's day to day. I think you could see him play tonight or tomorrow night. Hopefully. With that, I mean, the biggest takeaway from that was, imagine if the Mets didn't sign Juan Soto. You got to see that offense for a game and a half when he came out, and it was like, holy shit, there's nothing happening. It's crazy. You don't even have that at bat to be like, okay, at the very least he's gonna walk. We'll get a base runner.
Yeah.
Life without Juan Soto is scary. Glad we don't have to live it.
For a long time.
Long time. Very nice. All right. I think that's a show. We've rambled for an hour.
Yeah, we do that.
I'm begging the Mets to not do anything for a couple hours, because if this comes out and then immediately they do something, that's brutal.
Hey, let's hurry up and put this out.
Yeah, I'll get right on it. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe to our YouTube channel.
I mean, you do.
Yeah,
all the
exactly.
work.
Yeah, it's a real pronoun issue there. Thank you for watching. Subscribe on all your platforms. Leave us a rating. Leave us a review. We really appreciate it. We will see you next time. Maybe later today. Maybe tomorrow. Who the hell knows? I'll be popping up on some channel sometime today. LFGM. Make more moves. World Series. Yes. Yes.
Or stay pat. And
No.
World Series.
More. I'm greedy. I'm a greedy New York sports fan now.
Let's go Mets.
Let's go, Mets.
Shea Station.